If you start to use Excel as a database, then you'll certainly want to be able to make use of the text to column tool that is a facility within Excel, because this will allow you to manipulate a current column of data and convert it into 2 or more columns of text that you can then sort and filter within Excel. We're going to take our data file, which is in your working folder. It simply has 2 columns of information. It has a column with the person's name in, where the first name and the surname are in the same column, which is fine until you want to sort by the surname, or you only want to see the first name. So we need to be able to split that into 2 entities of data, a first name and a surname. The second column are people's dates of birth, but they're in a notation that is probably fine for the database that they came from, but doesn't work well in Excel, because Excel cannot see these as date articles. They effectively are just numbers with 2 decimal places. So it can't treat this date here as August the 2nd, 1966. It just sees it as 8.2.66, which then gets treated as text, which is why it's left aligned. That's the giveaway, really. So we need to be able to convert that into date format for Excel. Both of these jobs are achieved using the same tool, which is the text to column tools. So the first stage is to actually highlight our first set of data. So we highlight our names. So that's all the cells with names in. We then choose from the data ribbon the text to columns tool. Now the first question is our data delimited or of a fixed width? Delimited means we can figure out where to break the data based on some character, a space, a tab, a comma usually. Or is our data of a fixed width? Well, it's not a fixed width. Everybody's name is a different length, so we cannot use fixed width. But we can use delimited because there is a space between the first name and the surname. So next, what is our delimiter? It's a space, not a tab. Now we have a slight issue here in the preview that there is a space between De Silva as well, so we end up with a split surname. But if we look down the data list, we'll find, hopefully, not the only one, however, Philip De Filippo. And then that's it. But we can put those 2 back together afterwards. So we're having a space as our delimiter. Next, we can actually ask it to treat the text differently. So each of these 3 columns is being treated as general, which effectively says, Excel, you make the decision on what to do with the text. And then where are we going to place our new 3 columns? Well, they're not going to go into A2. Let's put them over here in F2. And then finish. Reference not valid. Okay. It actually picked up both cells there. And we just want F2. So F2, then finish. And we have first name and surname now split into separate columns. They just need labels so we can make use of them. And the 2 that effectively have been split again just need a manual fixing together. So Mario De Silva and Philip De Filippo. Because there's only 2, we've done that manually. If there were a lot more than that, we would need to look at using some of the text manipulation formulas that are in the next chapter to put those back together. Now the other little clever thing about this tool is our ability to adjust these dates here. So these have come out of a database system where they're stored as month.day.year, and it's only a 2-digit year as well, notice. So our job first is to highlight all of those dates, just as we did with the full names. Then go to the text to columns option. Now, it doesn't really matter whether we go for delimited or fixed width, but given that some months are 2 characters and some are 1, we need to really stay delimited. Next, I'm not actually going to choose a delimiter, and you'll see why shortly. So we're not splitting this by anything. Next, but what I want to do is here change the column data format to a date that is now in the format month, day, year. And we'll place that in C2 so that you can see it next to the original DOB format. So here I've chosen delimited but no delimiter, but chosen to change the column data to a date that is in the format MDY, so month, day, year. Finish, and we see, because of the little hashes, we know it's worked. Let's just widen the column, that we now have that same information but in a date format, so that we can then manipulate that date in Excel, work out how long ago it was, how old somebody is, any other things that we can do with a date. So that's the text to columns tool, used effectively in both of those scenarios. One, to split some data into multiple columns to make things easier for sorting and filtering, and one to convert a date format from a non-Excel valid date format effectively into an Excel format, so that now is a date and therefore can be treated as a date in Excel.